So this is like the worst location. Look how ugly this is. I'm in my kitchen. We're in November, so there is no light whatsoever during any time of the day. It is 3 in the afternoon, so I mean that is a bad time to pick. But this was the only place where I could get any light at all. So throughout the day, the sky is covered in clouds. So I have to film anyway. I mean, I want to film anyway, but the conditions are not great. I really hope that you can see my knits. Hi, hello, and welcome to Knit in the City. I am Rebecca, and the weather is horrible, but I'll try to work with whatever we've got. So, this is a monthly roundup that I haven't done in a while, because I had decided to finish all of my languishing whips, and also the not so languishing ones. I have failed miserably, as you know, if you watched not my last episode, but the last episode where I was talking about my own knits. I gave myself 1 month to finish everything, which was of course ridiculous. No one could have done that. I mean, maybe if they didn't have anything else to do but knit. But yeah, so I decided to prolong the period till the end of the year. I'm still not going to make it. It's just not possible, but I will do as much as I can. And I did cut myself some slack and allowed myself to cast on a couple of new things, one of which I can't find anywhere. I have a backpack that mysteriously disappeared and I just can't seem to find it anywhere. But that's not your problem at all. Without the little detail that the mittens that I cast on is inside of this backpack. I didn't finish anything in November, but I did finish something in October that I haven't talked about, and that is my Eun sweater, which I have here. And it looks like this, and I think I wore this in my last video. And as you can see, this one has a raglan construction. It is worked top down, and the mohair in this catches all sorts of things, and so if you see some flecks of whatever, it is whatever, and it's hard to get out actually. So very simple top-down raglan. It has a side slit here and a wide hem. And I didn't do the tubular bind off because I don't think it looks good in a 2-2 rib. So I just did a regular one. I love this sweater. I have knit this in drops Flora and drops Kidsilk held together. This has a double folded collar, which I also think looks really nice. I was debating whether to keep it turtleneck or fold it over, but I think it looked better folded actually. This is such a great basic sweater that goes with everything. I love the color as well. The only thing that I have done differently that wasn't in the pattern is that I didn't do any decreases for the sleeve, and I also kept the same size needle for the cuff. I don't know if you were supposed, you might have been supposed to do that anyway, I don't know. So it's just a straight sleeve, which I really like. I have been wanting to make a sweater with a straight sleeve for some time now, and this is the first one that I have made. I am so happy with this. I am drawn to the shiny, colorful things with lots of texture or colorwork patterns and things, but this is just such a great, I rarely make staples, but I feel like that will change in the future because I'm so in love with this piece. Yeah, so it was a very nice pattern, no problems at all. And I'm, like you can all tell, I'm very happy with the end result. I want one in every color. But I don't want to knit one in every color because that would be very tedious. The next thing is quite exciting. This is a thing that I have cast on quite recently, and that is a test knit that I'm doing for Tetilutsak. And this is the Tapetum sweater. I'm not gonna be talking at length about this one, but I just wanted to show you how beautiful this is. It has a very interesting construction that I won't go into because it is a test knit. I have it on a very short cable, so you can't really see the whole thing anyway. But yeah, it is something like that. This is knit in unspun yarn, and you're supposed to do that. It also has a really pretty Italian cast on. And so the yarns I'm using is Plötulopi for the most part. And it is this gray one and this white one. And I think Plötulopi is pretty good. It does come off from time to time, but it's not too bad. What is pretty bad though, I have to dive down on the floor now. I had some leftover Nutiden yarn from my Oxa sweater, which I actually have here, so I could have shown it to you. Perhaps I'll go get it, I don't know. But yeah, this is Nutiden, the color is Börja, and this is like the frailest yarn you have. I mean, even looking at it, it's falling apart. I don't even need to touch it for that to happen. So I am holding this with a strand of mohair, which it does say to do in the pattern. For when you pick up on a certain row. So, and I had this left over. It looks like they're really different. They're not that different in person. There is a lot of green in this one. So I'm holding 2 strands of this and 1 strand of this for this colorway. The other colors, you don't need to do that because they're gonna hold up okay anyway. And once you've knit with these yarns, they're a lot sturdier. So this is my Oxa, and this is a Caitlin Hunter pattern. It is a top-down construction. It has a round yoke, and it has these floats of yarn that makes this beautiful pattern. And I knit this whole thing in this Nutiden yarn, and yeah, the yarn came off quite a few times, but I'm very happy with the result. It's a really nice sweater. It's quite cropped. I'm sure I made it less oversized than it's supposed to be, like I always do. Okay, to the next one, and that is the storm sweater that I'm making for my oldest daughter. I have made 2 storm sweaters before, one for little sister and one for myself, and I have the one I made for my daughter here, the one that I actually finished, and it is this one, and she loves it and she wears it all the time, and I have to say it looks pretty good, even to me. But I mean, it's great to knit someone a sweater and then they really love it. So yeah, so this is a top down drop shoulder sweater. And it's these really nice lines in the back. You start knitting the back, then you pick up for both of the fronts, and then when you're at the underarm, you start knitting in the round. This has a folded collar, and it has an Italian bind off down here. It looks a little bit wonky, and also at the hems, no, at the cuffs. And this is the one that I'm currently knitting on, and I have put quite a lot of work into this because when I stopped knitting, I had done the back and I had done both the fronts, and one of the fronts were longer than the other, so I had to rip it out and start over, and that's why this became a UFO for some time. But I finished the body, and there are lots of yarn ends here, but I finished the body. And I finished the first sleeve. It looks really short, but I do have the same amount of repeats as I did on the first one. And that is actually 1 pattern repeat more than the pattern says to. So, I mean, for the person to wear a sweater with that kind of sleeve, you have to have Tyrannosaurus arms. But okay, it does block out a little bit because the sleeves on my sweater were too short when I finished it, but then I just blocked it and pulled them so that now they're a good length. I have started the second sleeve. This is actually pretty much half the sleeve. So I think there are, in the pattern there is like 2 repeats more, and with this one that I am working on right now. And then I have to pick up for the collar, which is then double folded, so it's a bit longer than just your average collar. But I mean, I'm still enjoying this, so it is a fun pattern to knit. Otherwise, there is no way I could have made 3 of these. The next thing that I have been working on in November is my August cardigan by Johanna Gerisch. And I have finished the body on this one. This is quite simple. All of the cables are facing the same direction. And there's also some stockinette stitches in between. I'm working on the first sleeve, and my arms are pretty long, so it feels like it takes forever. I did make the V-neck a bit too deep before I started the buttonholes because I forgot, but that doesn't really matter because I intend to wear something underneath anyway. This is quite snug, but I'm hoping that I can block this out because of course they're cables and they're gonna pull the fabric tight. It's not a super fun knit, but I really want to finish it because it's gonna look great, I think. I knit this in Sandnes per Gynt in this white color. This is a raglan construction, as you can see. It has a cable at the raglan seam as well. You knit this from the top down. Not much more to say about that. The next one is also a cabled sweater, but it's a closed sweater this time, and that is the sweater number 20 that I am really in love with. I have finished the body. I did do a tubular bind off on this one, and as you can see, since you have to change places of the stitches before you do this, it does look kind of wonky, and there's really nothing you can do about it. Maybe there is something you can do, but there's really nothing I can do about it. So it is what it is. No one's gonna look there when you have all of these lovely cables to feast your eye on. I actually did start the sleeve because this has been lying around as a vest for a really long time. But I did start this first sleeve, which feels great. I am knitting this in Drops Daisy that I am holding with Drops Kidsilk, and this ice blue Kidsilk is actually pretty soft. I can't find the balls of yarn. I know where they are, I just can't get to them because it's like a crazy situation over here. This was not made for filming. That is definite. Oh, there's actually some sun coming out now. That's crazy. I should stop doing this and just go outside because I haven't seen the sun in weeks, I feel like. Okay, back to the topic at hand. This is also the same kind of construction as the storm sweater. You start at the back, knit for a while, then you pick up for the front. This is a V-neck though. And then at the underarm you start knitting in the round. Pick up the sleeves. You can see that I have this on a long cable, so I'm doing magic loop, and then you pick up stitches for the collar, which is knit in a 2-2 rib, just like the hem here. The rest of the projects that I have been working on this month are smaller ones, and no, this is actually a cardigan, but it doesn't take up as much space because it doesn't have cables, and it's also knit in a sport weight yarn. This is the Klippans tvåtrådiga, which is a 2-ply sport weight wool, and it has 300 meters in a 100-gram ball. And this is sommarkoftan which means the summer cardigan. And it is a thing that the head designer at Järbo does every year. Maja Karlsson is her name. So every year she makes a pattern for a summer cardigan. And then they host a knit along for this project. And it has been going on for, I think, 6 years maybe. And this is the first time I participated. So you get a clue once a week for, I don't know, 4 weeks, I guess. And there is always like some pretty color work pattern on these cardigans. And as you can see, this is knit top down. It is a round yoke construction, and you can see my steek stitches here in the middle that I'm going to cut once I'm done. I have done all the fun stuff, and I'm now at the boring parts. It's just plain stockinette until I get to the hem. So that's where this kind of fizzled out. I really like that there's a contrast color on top of the collar. This is knit in a twisted rib. What else can I really like the colors I chose, because you can see them well, but they're still kind of muted. So this is going to be a thinner cardigan, which is nice to have when it's not super cold, which it usually isn't around here. So, I mean, I put some work into this one because, I mean, last time you saw this, I think I hadn't finished these leaves. Yeah. Okay, the next 2 projects are socks. I actually did decide, because someone wrote that I should frog the sock that I really hated to knit, where you have to like wrap the yarn around, and it was only a 4 repeat lace pattern, and it was giving me a headache. I mean, it wasn't difficult, but it was so boring. So one viewer wrote that I should just frog it because knitting should be enjoyable. And the other day I had this epiphany that she was completely right, and what am I doing? So I did frog the Lotte sock, and I also frogged the other sock, the pink and black sock. I will put the name on the screen. The bird sock. I also frogged that one because I just it looked fantastic, but I just didn't want to work on it. I had finished the heel flap. I think I had turned the heel and picked up for the gusset, but I had no desire to work on it. So those 2 socks have been frogged. So I got rid of 2 whips just very quickly. But here is a pair of socks that I intend to finish, and that is vervain. And the first sock is already finished, and I have showed this to you before. It has a really beautiful leaf pattern all the way down the leg. And I am knitting this in Emililyknits Dreamy silk, which is a lovely yarn. I really like how this lace panel goes into the cuff here. And I have started sock number 2, which I hadn't done for like a year or so. But here it is. Here is the second sock. I haven't knit on it in a while, but I have knit on it this month, and I will continue to knit on this because this is going to be a lovely pair of socks once they're done. And as you can see, they're worked cuff down. They have a heel flap and gusset, like just your ordinary heel flap and gusset. And it doesn't need anything else because the lovely pattern is what is supposed to be the star of this sock. So they are going to be finished, and I'm really happy about that. I've also been working on my Christmas socks, or at least 1 pair of my Christmas socks. It has not been great because I will show you why. The first sock is finished. It is really big, but that's fine. I had to modify the pattern because it only had 1 size, and that was like a women's medium, and I'm more like a women's large when it comes to feet. Well, it comes to everything actually. But it has a lovely eyelet pattern on the cuff, and then these gingerbread cookie pattern. Like there's a pig, there are hearts, the man and the woman, the goats. Like it's this one has I think it's called a forethought heel, when you put like a piece of yarn here to save space for the heel, and then once you've knit the whole sock, you go in, take this piece of yarn out, and then you knit the heel. I did a few rounds just stockinette before I started to make these decreases, because I have a high instep, and this kind of heel usually doesn't fit me very well. But since I did that, and since I also have a few more stitches than I usually do when I knit my socks, I usually have 72 stitches, and this has 80. That's probably one reason why this heel fits me now. I did make the toe a little bit too long. I'm not sure whether to go back and fix that, because there is some more fixing that needs doing. And because I started the second sock, and if you look at these two, you can see that the second sock is a lot bigger than the first one. So I'm going to have to rip this out and start over. And as you can see, no, you can't see that. You can't see that, that's stupid. These are 2.5 millimeter needles that I use for the color work. And I stupidly knit the whole cuff with the same kind of needles, because it doesn't say in my notes. I don't have any notes on this on Ravelry. It's just the projects, the yarn that is in there. It doesn't say what I don't think it says which needle size, because I think that I used a 2 millimeter needle for the cuff, which you usually do, and then you go use a bigger needle for the color work. And I think that's what I done, and that is the reason that this came out so big. And we can't have that, so I have to rip this out and redo it, which is super annoying because I already put a lot of time into this. Yeah. The yarn is Kremke Soul Wool Edelweiss, and this has the perfect gingerbread cookie color. And then this other yarn, I think it's a Drops Fable. It could be a Järbo, Gynt, Raggi, but I think it's the Drops Fable. So I was hoping to finish them in time for Christmas, but I am thinking to make Christmas presents for the girls. I really hope that I have time to do that. So I'm not gonna focus on these socks. I'm not gonna fret if I don't finish them in time for Christmas, is what I actually wanted to say. It's gonna be fine. I only have one project left that I have been working on this month. This month, that is correct. Yeah. I only have one project left that I have been working on this month, and that is julvästen, and that just means Christmas vest. And it is a really fun pattern. It's a bottom-up construction, and there are a lot of colorwork patterns that you can just pick and choose from to make your own version of this vest. It uses sport weight yarns, bits and bobs of all kinds of sport weight yarns that I could find. I have some Klippans yarn, I have some Rauma finull, like this one. I was tricked by my knitting friend into starting this, so this is not my fault at all. But now I'm dropping stitches all over the place. So I started the ribbing here at the hem. This is a 2-2 rib. I made these Christmas trees, and then since there are all kinds of patterns with the different stitch counts, it doesn't come out evenly. So I just made a little present here at the end to accommodate for that. Then I have a garland pattern here. I should just pick one part because it's on a really small cable. I tend to do that. Then there's this snowflake motif. There's a bit of greenery here. Then there's a coffee cup motif that's really cute. And since I can't live without coffee or function or anything, I thought that'd be fun to put onto this vest. But I made a mistake. I have like too many or too few of the beige in between the brown at some point here. So I'm going to have to go back and fix that, and I don't want to do that. So I haven't been knitting on this for a few weeks now. So I will continue to try and finish my knits that I started either this year or last year or a few years back or like whenever. I just want to finish them. There were so many of them. There are quite a few of them that I haven't talked about today for the reason that I haven't touched them. But I am going to do my best to finish as many as I can, but I am also going to be knitting some Christmas presents because I really want to, and I'm so sick of knitting on the same things for I usually don't stop myself from casting on new things, but now I have done that since the end of September, and I'm fatigued by this point. I just want to do something. The julvest is a new cast on. I also cast on the Ole mittens that I can't find, that are in this backpack that mysteriously disappeared. I finished one of the mittens and I actually started the second one, so I feel like my mindset is improving. But I really do want to finish the storm sweater because I'm hoping to give that to my daughter for Christmas. And I only have half a sleeve and the collar left, so I feel confident that I can do it. And beyond that, I'm not going to put any more pressure on myself. I hope that you have a great knitting experience in front of you now that we're closing in on the holidays, and don't wear yourselves out, and happy knitting. Bye bye.